at the official clock, so I will call the regular meeting of the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District to order, and we start with a roll call.
All right, Manager Schottmuller.
Aye.
Manager Bachke will not be joining us tonight. Manager Taves.
I'm here.
Manager Schmaltz.
Here.
President Anderson.
Present. All right, we have a quorum, so we can proceed. First order is to set the meeting agenda. And as we just talked about, we have some additions, so let's take care of those first. And I'll have you read your list again.
Yeah, so I think Steve was going to introduce Wakeboat. You want to bring up the Wakeboat study tonight?
Not the study, I was gonna actually talk about.
Oh, sorry, go, yeah, how about you introduce again?
Yeah, just a brief discussion or about wake boats, maybe trying to monitor them as they're coming into the lake, but we'll talk about that later on.
Okay,
Should take 5
put,
minutes.
should we put that under old business?
I think so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so we'll add an E for wait folks discussion. That's under 7, old business. Okay, the next one?
Is that me? Okay, so. Mike and I went to Washington County and talked to them about. The what?
Emra?
MRAP, yeah, thank you. We talked about us offering some funds historically.
Mhm.
And they turned it down. And there's a path forward on that, so I would like to discuss on whether or not,
Okay.
that's something that. We could decide on putting some money towards
Mhm.
MRAP as a good faith
Okay.
offering going forward, if that's appropriate to do today.
Absolutely. I'll put it under D, under new business.
Okay,
So number 6. And I'll just call it Emma, okay? All right, and you said there were some things to add?
No, just Steve has the ones to add
Okay.
and.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I think that's it. So there's a motion is there a motion to accept the amended agenda?
I'll move, accept the amended agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Manager Schottmuller was first, and so he's gonna take it. Thank you. Keep your voice open for us. You can't hear me. Okay,
Awesome, Manager Schottmuller.
we're approving the agenda?
yes. Mhm.
Aye.
Manager Taves.
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you. Moving on to number 3, consent agenda. Those are 2 board minutes that need to be approved, April 23rd and May 12th. We can either do this by consensus, or if there are changes that anyone wants to make, or bring those up. If not,
We're fine, yeah.
okay, then we will accept those by consensus. Public open forum.
Do we need
No, a consensus, no, a consensus is doesn't require a motion voting. Okay,
Without objection type of situation?
without objection, yeah,
Okay,
thank you, I should have added that to the. Okay, next is the public open forum. Is there anyone that wants to bring an item to the board's attention that is not on the current agenda?
That's us.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah. I was wondering, like we were talking earlier, for navigating, I have a property that has.
Would you state your name and your address?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Rory Sawada, 24258 Fallbrook Avenue North. My property has flow through going through it, and it looks like it's pretty much hasn't been maintained in a long time, and so I'm trying to figure out how I navigate. And who I speak with for instance, like game approval or grants, or cost sharing in some sort. Cause it's a rather large project,
Yeah,
or could be many projects.
This flow through has caused some damage to the driveway. He's got a driveway that goes all the way through the property, and this watershed comes right through the middle, right?
Okay,
So the watershed, was established a long time ago. He's owned the property for 3 years.
okay,
And so, if you go back and look at the history, there was no water all over the property until sometime in the mid to late eighties
okay.
is when this showed up,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so, so it's causing some problems with the driveway sinking, and, we need to have somebody come out and take a look at that so we can start the process of how and where do we go to try to get
Sure.
some help.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
coming forward and asking.
Yeah.
Before anything happens, that we like that. We like to work from the beginning
Yeah.
and not have to come out and correct something. So thank you very much for that. I would say, I'd hate to make this conclusion, but, our administrator, is not here tonight, and his name is Mike Kenny.
Mhm.
And, he's the head of the operations day-to-day. The other one, I think that might be closest to this is maybe Mike Sandiger. He's the permit individual. And if we need to, we have one of our civil engineers that would go out and look at that as well.
Good, yeah.
Especially with that history, that's really
Yeah.
great. So, and that Ian is our primary chief engineer,
Okay.
What's his last name? Mike?
Sandiger.
President Anderson,
Yes,
would this be coordinated with the township or the county as well? Because it's a roadway.
well, is it a local roadway or is it a freeway or a highway system? I mean,
Well, it kind of includes both, because
Yeah.
Okay.
35 is right, his property
It's on
backs
one
up to
side.
it, and the water comes underneath it onto his property, and it goes out to a county road.
okay, you're in Wyoming. We're-
So right on the border, yeah.
Yeah,
Forest
I
Lake.
know exactly where you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it probably would involve the city as well, if there's a city road involved, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to learn. What do we
Yeah,
do here?
yeah, well, we have a good group, I guess, basically is all I'm trying to say, is that we've got a group of people. That will have probably some part in that, and, we'll tell Mike about it, he's not here tonight, but he'll be back next week. And, or maybe even Friday, and he can help coordinate, he'll pick the right people to talk to and so on, and
Okay.
get that all organized, so leave information with your contact information and phone number.
Yep.
With staff, and then, we'll take care of it.
Perfect,
Perfect. Yeah.
perfect. Make sure you leave your email and,
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks
Yeah, and
again.
then Mike will have this and
Yeah.
reach out.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, and it's recorded.
Oh, perfect. Even better. All right, well then that,
Your words, and make them listen to this.
fair enough. All right.
Thank you for
Yeah,
listening to us.
appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
For coming. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.
Bye, have a good night. Okay. Next is advisory committee. Updates,
Even is online.
okay?
All right, thank you, Madam President, managers. Attached in the board packet this week, we have the Community Advisory Committee update. The highlight of the committee, we had an introduction from Kennedy Kolb, as well as an overview of the Conservation Corps program. So that was of great benefit to the committee. Then we also had a discussion on the audit report for 2025. So some of the details of that conversation are highlighted in the notes. I guess I would summarize it as I would say the committee was pleased with the work that went into the audit and has gone into the budgeting. They continue to have questions, the conversation ended up being about the upcoming budget. And so the committee continued to question some of the spending that's occurring and kind of the plan around that. So a few more details in the audit report and, or excuse me, in the notes. And I would encourage any board members who have not signed up for a slot to attend a CAC meeting. Now would be a good time to do so. Hopefully we have a more diverse agenda in the future, but I think they have really valued. Manager Anderson was at our last meeting, and I think that provided a lot of value. So if you have not signed up for a slot yet, please contact me and we'll get you on the calendar.
Hey, thank you, Aiden. Appreciate that. Next, new business. 6A, permit 25-020, Forest View Preserve.
Oh, yes, I can go ahead and present that. So permit 25-020 is located east of Forest Lake Basin 1. Its nearest address is 23181 Hilo Avenue. The size is 20 parcels, so 20 single family homes. Of note, it did get a variance from the city for the length of the cul-de-sac is longer than allowed without a variance. However, this does not impact the district's permit or rules implicated. So with that, I'll pass it on to you.
Sure. So, yes, that'd be great. So this is the proposed site. The impervious is being treated by a large filtration basin there, which also has a pond that provides the required dead storage and pre-treatment for the filtration basin. They did go through the proper sequencing to demonstrate that they could not infiltrate due to clay soils on site. So they are using the filtration conversion factor in order to achieve the required water quality volume, and they are meeting that with their filtration basin. Also, for new developments, we do require dead storage to be provided for the 2-year event, and they're providing that through their pond as well. For this site, they're also adjacent to some wetlands, so they're required to provide the required buffers, and also looking at wetland bounce and inundation, and they're meeting all requirements for that. They are meeting rate control at all areas leaving the site, and their erosion control is all appropriate for the construction and also revegetation. So a little bit smaller of a development than the last two we were looking at, but
I didn't think there was open space in that area, but it sure is.
yep,
Yeah. But, mhm.
a sliver for this.
Yeah. All right, any questions?
Just, yeah, kind of a review question, since we were talking about, flooding and the, acre feet and all the various atlases that we have to work through on.
Yeah.
We talk about existing CPS, cubic feet per second, that's the runoff that would come on pre-development, or
Yeah.
it's a natural condition.
Mhm.
So you can estimate that by just looking at the type of soil and everything.
Yes, exactly.
And then we're supposed to get at least as good of that, right? And then
Yes.
that's not, just let it be any higher than that.
Right, correct.
So these are significant reductions.
Yes,
right?
yeah, they're slowing
So
down
way,
water quite a bit.
way less stormwater coming off that.
Correct, and being retained by that basin and then being filtered. So the filtration slows down the water coming off the site.
Okay.
This is a good example for our friends at Forest Lake Council, is that not everything we do is bad. And this in particular, the way our storm water rules are intended is to protect the water or keep the water on that property, so that you don't have more coming downstream to others. So it's a good thing.
Mhm.
And as properties sell, we always have an opportunity to work with the new owners to do whatever improvements we can do. That's the outreach stuff and things that Adam is doing is helping to help that residential property maintain their own water as well. So long-term impact, Mike has asked for this report. I've been asking for it before Mike. And that is to quantify all of that, maybe at the end of the year, a report that says we've had this many houses, we've saved this much water without the rules, what that would have been. And we've saved a downstream conduct of the water by X. You know, just something simple but important that they understand.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary to provide at the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, very good.
So I'll move to approve permit application number 25-020 with conditions stated in EOR's April 14th, 2026 permit application number 25020. Forest Lake Memorandum.
Second.
Been proposed and seconded. So is there any other discussion from the board? Anything? Okay, let's do a roll call.
All right, Manager Schottmuller,
Aye.
Manager Tace,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Next is insurance liability coverage waiver.
Yeah, I can cover this one. This is just a standard boilerplate item that comes before the board every year. Historically, the board has elected to moves to elect that we do not waive the monetary limits on the municipal tort liability established by the Minnesota statutes. I think Chuck could probably answer some questions on this better than I could, but just basic insurance stuff.
Any questions from the board?
Do we have to each sign that sheet or not?
No,
We
I don't
don't.
think so.
Just
No.
Mike signs it.
Yeah.
Okay, just do all of us then.
Yeah,
What's the current situation?
I think it's currently one. Oh shoot, no. I would have to go back and look at it, Jim.
Currently, we waive it. Every year we have to waive it?
Yeah.
Oh, or don't waive it? One of the other.
Waive or not waive,
And what are we currently doing?
do not waive is what we've done historically.
Okay. So this is status quo.
Yeah,
If we do this, it's the status
let
quo.
me have Chuck talk to you about
Great.
that. Okay, Chuck, can you just fill in the holes here on why we have this and why we do what we do?
Yes, Madam Chair, managers. Basically, there's a statutory liability limit, which in simplified form is $1.5 million. But the district's policy with League of Cities is a $2 million limit. And the district could obtain additional insurance as well if it chose. So the purpose of this is that without this waiver, the courts would say that by purchasing insurance above the statutory limit, the district is waiving that statutory limit to the extent of the insurance that it has purchased. So by choosing do not waive, the district simply affirms that it is resting on the $1.5 million statutory limit. And that is, Manager Schottmuller, that is the status quo and has been so for my memory.
Great.
Good question.
Can I ask another question?
Yes, of course.
If there's a limit of 1.5 million, why are we spending money to have $2 million worth of insurance?
I think Chuck addressed that, but go ahead, Chuck. You can answer that question.
I'm sorry, Manager Schottmuller, could you ask that again?
Yep. If there's a $1.5 million limit, statutory limit, why are we purchasing more than that?
Well, the simple answer is that insurance tends to get transacted in $1 million increments.
Okay.
But it's also the case that the district has some liabilities in theory under federal law or ways that the state statutory limit would not apply to, and so its policy would provide $2 million for those types of claims.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Chuck. Next item is,
We have to vote on this.
Yep.
oh, I'm sorry, that's right. Make the motion, someone,
Hey, can I make my first motion?
please, we're waiting.
Do I have to say my name?
You can say I moved to.
Okay, I move to elect the member does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota statutes 466.04, option provided on the LMCIT section 1 liability coverage waiver form.
I will second. Your first motion.
Thanks.
Any
Right.
further discussion? Roll call, please.
Manager Schottenmiller,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Motion approved. Thank you.
Before we go to the next topic, seeing our legal counsel reminded me, are we going to actually discuss resolutions tonight?
No, I'll, in my manager's report, I'll give you an update on that.
Well, we have to vote on it tonight because it's due Monday, right?
I know. I will give you an update.
Okay,
There aren't any resolutions.
so the manager's report, okay.
Yeah. Okay, next item is 2026 budget amendment.
Madam President, managers, we had talked about this a little bit during one of our first budget workshop, but the purpose of this amendment is primarily to just simplify the chart of accounts for staff wages and benefits. And so instead of having them allocated out to a dozen different line items and having some allocation to each program and each project area, it would just be simplified and rolled up into some of it going to administration, about 10%, which is kind of the standard for administrative costs. And then 90% would be coded to programs. So simplifying it, but still keeping some degree of diversification so that 10% goes to admin and 90% goes to the implementation fund. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions?
Are we selecting one or the other, or are we passing both of these?
We recommend both.
Okay.
Emily, so I did have a question. The example of when you attached a sheet here that showed what it's gonna look like. It looks to me like you're gonna keep the estimates of full-time equivalents for each of those sections, but you're not gonna show the dollars. Is that correct?
That's correct. And on that note, we can show the dollars if we wanted to represent the full cost of a program. We could still show that in a separate breakout or in our annual work plan. We can still have that information, but just as far as our accounting of it, it's just simplifying it.
Okay.
Can you pull up the sheet that you're talking about, this on the pending and in progress? Actually, I don't know on page here. Can you pull up the page that you've shown us, how that's gonna, the one that Mike, I think that you were looking it up. Actually, look on the budget sheet.
Sure. So we kind of create this new section up here at the top for the 10% that's going to the general fund, staff wages and benefits up here. So not changing the total numbers, which is 1.2 million, but some of it would get coded to the general fund here. And then you go down to the program section. And then the other 90% would get coded under just kind of using the general program development category that's already existing, and then coding it to this code here. And then the second motion was just to zero out this other, we had $500 budgeted for general program development for like consultant costs or, miscellaneous costs. But the reality is, anything that occurs can be coded to a specific program. So we recommended further simplifying that by getting rid of that 500 so that this whole category is just the staff wages and benefits and not mixing in some additional budget dollars for other things.
And what's, excuse you, what is the logic behind putting our salaries under 3,000 and not up under probably 1,000s or two, wherever it was before, and more of that administrative area?
Yeah, President Anderson, that's a great question. Historically, we've budgeted out, like the majority has been in programs and projects so that it goes to the implementation fund. That's because the standard kind of rule of thumb is that administration comprises approximately 10% of the budget. And this particularly comes into focus when we do our annual budget presentation with Washington County and the Washington County Board. They specifically ask for a rundown of administrative costs and what proportion of your budget those admin costs comprise. And so I'm just going to scroll back up to admin here. It would just make the administration budget a lot higher than it really functionally is because, staff is involved in the implementation of programs and projects and is not purely administrative. So probably only about 10% of staff's time truly goes to administration, but the rest really is implementation.
Okay.
Well, it's up to the board. I'm not comfortable with this because the budget has to cover all of those overhead expenses, which salaries are, and the rest of it can change on how people are used within the district's work. And I think we just need to be transparent about what it costs to run an organization with professional people. And it would be easier for the public to understand. And we certainly would have more transparency as a board. And it would be making budgets so much easier.
President
So
Anderson?
that's my 2 cents. Yes, go ahead, Manager Taves.
Yeah, I thought we had asked to have this split out this way so that we could allocate the work of the staff to the projects. I thought that was why we were splitting it out this way.
Well, we've always split it up this way, and the requests from me, Manager Schottmuller, last meeting, I thought said the same thing, is that the general fund should be for the administration items. And so it's a discord for me to operate any other way than that. We have to have transparency on what it costs to have the people that we need to filter out to those other work chores, if you will. The common ones that happen, but for me, it's easier. For me, it's easier for the public, and it's the way I'm used to seeing government reports, is that you have these things where they are in that general area, because you have to maintain that. You have to have enough money to maintain that overhead. And if we keep hiding it in or moving it down to the projects look more expensive than they really are, because the salary should cover the work that we're doing, because that's, we have to have a good handle on where that is year to year and month to month.
Well, I'm confused then because I thought we had asked to be able to audit projects and find how much staff time was actually dollars of staff time went into these projects. So I'm not quite sure which direction we're going here.
Well, I don't remember that instruction from last meeting. I don't.
Not from last meeting, from maybe a year ago or so.
Well, again, we have been using this practice for a long time. And I've not agreed with it all that time. But now's an opportunity to change it and make it more transparent and more readable and understandable for the public and for the board. I'm giving my opinion and I'm sticking to it. So
Well,
you have a different way. That's understandable.
According to state,
Well, let me ask him if he's done. Are you done, Manager Taves? Or did you want to say more?
Yeah, I'm just confused. I'm pretty sure that we, as a board, we had asked them to break this out and put the cost of allocate staff time to the project specifically, so we knew exactly what the projects cost. So now it seems like we're trying to pull it all back into administration.
It was never all under administration. That's what I'm telling you. That's why the ask was to do something different. And the allocation to each of those functional areas or project areas, program areas, that can be done for internal purposes. There's nothing stopping the staff from doing that, but for public consumption and transparency, putting the cost of all of this overhead is important.
So
To
is
have
this,
together and separate.
so is this an internal report or an external report that we're looking at?
This is a budget report. This is the budget.
Okay.
well, one of the things we're trying to do is streamline our costs, and right now our accounting has been getting, it's been increasing very quickly, and we're trying to control that, reduce costs in that area. This, according to staff, this will reduce 22 different line items, all the coding costs, all the time you have to deal with those lines. It's gonna save quite a bit of money. So in terms of simplifying the accounting to get to where you have to be, you can still tell how much, because in the budget, it shows you how many full-time equivalents in each project. So you still have that number to see how much time is going towards that area. So I think if we're trying to meet our budgets and get more cost efficient here to have a lower levy, this is one step in the right direction. Every time you have an accountant add another line or codes, it just increases your cost.
Well, I'm not talking about adding anything. I'm talking about consolidating things.
Right. Well,
And
then I don't think we
need
want to
that.
all put it in admin. I think 10% is plenty in admin, because if you have it all in admin, the reports that we give to the counties and the cities, they look at admin as being non-productive work. So therefore, you basically have all your implementation time costs in the admin area, which you don't want to have.
Oh, I disagree with you. I think your premise is all wrong. So let's go around the block here. I'm one person out of 5, so who else has not spoken about this? Yeah, you.
Is there a happy medium where they could be listed separately but together? Where, like it is on the background discussion page, where it's line item 1 is staff and wages, general fund. Line 2 is staff and wages implementation fund, and there's a total, and therefore it's, we've got it broken out, yet it's all consolidated and there's no confusion that that's the total amount.
Is it an overhead expense? I mean.
No,
are
we've
you-
got
are you-
10% of it goes in the overhead area.
Mhm.
Right.
Admin. Okay, so then the other implementation gets broken out into 3 different areas.
Okay.
So 3,000, 5,000, and 6,000. Our programs, our projects, and our land costs. So there's a one whole number for that, but it's not broken down into all the individual projects. What you have is an estimate of how many full-time employees work in each of those projects. So you have that as a macro indicator of how many people are working in that area. So that makes it, so you have it without having to put all that coding in.
I'm
Look
gonna
at the
defer,
footnotes.
I'm gonna defer to whoever is working with the numbers, on a monthly basis, and you're our finance guy.
Well, I don't do all the detail work on this,
No,
but I've
but-
worked with the budget enough to know what's in there and how we use it. So,
Okay,
yeah. So you can see,
I would love.
so
to
you'd have
you-
$1 million for the 3,000 category, and there's maybe, 9 or different areas within the program area, and each program area has a full-time employee number in the footnotes. So for example, if you want to know how much time it takes for district rules and rulemaking, it shows 0.2 full-time equivalents. So of that $2 million, that $1 million, 0.2 full-time equivalents is in that area. You go down to education and outreach, we got a full-time equivalent there. So, I mean, that gives you a very good idea of where the people are working. without having to do all this extra coding and,
Right.
for the audits and so forth.
I
So,
do get what she's saying about having it in one place though, and being transparent, so that's,
how much have you ever looked at this?
no,
Not very much, I know, nobody does, so.
I haven't been around long enough to look at it
Yeah.
for too long, but I'm just saying that, is there a happy medium where we can do it the breakout
Right.
and then have a roll up?
That's what staff's recommending, is to simplify this so we can save some costs. Which is what they're supposed to be doing.
There's no simplification if you're adding the salary and the people down to each line item. You're actually creating more work that way. You know, not by consolidating all of the overhead, the salary overhead and benefit overhead of employees. So, you know, that's the way I'm looking at it. It's different than the way you're looking at it.
Well, first of all,
But-
the full-time equivalents don't come from any kind of, allocation. That's actually developed when they do the work plan at the beginning of the year.
But they-
Everybody's got to fill out a time card.
Mhm.
And their costs then are allocated back to where they're spending. their
I
time.
know how it works. I know how it functions.
So
I'm
we're
just
not
saying,
adding-
because
we're
we're
not
talking
adding
about a
down each
financial
individual
document
line.
here. We're talking about a financial document here, not an operational document. And I would prefer that we have our budget look like a financial document. It's clean and simple. And we know exactly what we have to levy, because there's no grants for overhead. There's none. So we have to make sure that we have the budget for the personnel and the operation that we're running. It's just cleaner and clearer that way. So right now, we don't have our fifth member. So I don't think we should vote on this. I think we should wait until Manager Baki is present so that we have a full board. And that's what I recommend.
I'm okay with that.
Okay? You?
That's fine.
Okay.
Is there any
Yeah, are you
special
okay
timing
with that?
required on this?
Are you okay with that, Doug? That we just wait until Manager Baki is present? And
Yeah,
to weigh in
that'd be
on this?
okay.
All right, thank you.
Do we need a
All
motion,
right.
Tito?
No, I don't think so. I think if everybody's in consensus, which we just illustrated, that we can do this by consensus. And when is Manager Baki due back? He's not gone a long time, is he?
No,
Okay.
he thought he was gonna be able to attend tonight, but couldn't get Wi-Fi at his cabin.
Oh, okay. All right, so the next budget meeting is coming up the second or third?
Second.
Okay, if we can move that to the budget meeting on the second, Manager Baki should be present.
I don't know, the agenda has already been published.
Uh-huh.
Emily, you would have to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I'm
What's
not
that?
sure if we could make a motion at that, but I think we can certainly discuss it in the context of the budget, which is on the agenda. And then it's not time sensitive. We can bring the recommended motion to a future regular board meeting and have it on the agenda.
Okay. Do you agree, Chuck? Is our council? Chuck?
Madam Chair,
Okay. Yeah,
to my understanding, you could do it either way. For a special meeting, you could still put out a revised agenda with the required 3 days notice. But if it falls within the scope of the agenda items presently, then you can just go that way as well.
okay. Anybody have a preference then? We can do it at the third meeting. Or excuse me, on the June 3rd meeting, special meeting, second, okay. Or we can wait until our next board meeting. It's not time sensitive, Emily said, so,
Why don't we do it the second? I think we'll have time at the second to
Okay.
do it.
all right, everybody in agreement with that? Moving it to the second meeting on the second, okay, all right, very good. That's what will happen, so, yeah, please bring this item to the meeting on June 2nd on the budget.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is the MRAP discussion.
Okay, so historically, if, I'm gonna go by my memory a little bit, there was a $16,000 or $20,000.
26,000.
$26,000.
Cost to us.
Cost to us.
Third highest in the area, yeah.
Right, I knew it was out of one.
Yeah.
Our commissioner, Mayor, we met with, and he said that the county could accept donations. And the county then could disperse to MRAP. If MRAP won't accept anything, so there's a path if we wanna do some good faith stuff. My question to Mike, and he thought we could talk about it here, is what's the value that the perceived value we get from what we had? What's the perceived value of what we want? And what would be a perceived value to us to throw a good faith donation out there? Probably those are three different numbers. So that would be my question is if we want something, we don't feel like it's worth whatever we were doing was worth what we were paying, then what do we want so that it's worth what they're asking, or whatever number we want. Not trying to be confusing, it just comes naturally. So that's my question, is just kind of an open discussion about what's the perceived value here, and do we wanna do something there?
Well, the short answer for me is no, we don't want to do anything different. We've taken that money and we applied it to our own, and it's been great. And we have far more coverage with our citizens now than we had with MRAP. One of the difficult things, and other managers have said the same thing, is that when we have an article, which is rare, about what our district is doing, you have to almost get to halfway down, first column to see a mention of the CLFLWD.
Sure.
The credits are always given to the Washington Conservation District, MRAP. I asked at one time and asked if they would just make sure to include all of the members of MRAP in everything so that they know who it is. And that worked for a while, but I don't see it on every article. I will say, and I have said in public and in private, that Angie is one of the best writers I've seen in a long time. And I love how she writes. And she did a phenomenal job of calling attention to what people can do on their own property. And it helps fisheries and all of that kind of thing, but it was from the position of the fish. Okay, and how the cleaner water was, affecting their lives. It was very clever, but she has that ability to make an article, some mundane things, come to life. So it's never been about that. It's that we want more for our $26,000 a year. We want more.
Sure.
Of that same kind of thing, not less. And when there is something about us, then make it about us. Don't make it about the Water Conservation District or, Washington County. And so those were things, I went to those meetings. It took 3 years to actually have them give me the information for this consolidated meeting that was held, I think once a year, once every 2 years, to kind of look at the program and restructure, things if you need to and so on. And they were not amenable to any suggestion on how to make this fee structure more fair. And it just stayed the same. But the thing that really got me was when I asked, why did this start? Why did this MRAP program start? And it was because when the MS4 rules came into being that forced cities to, of a certain size, forced cities to do much better on their stormwater protections. That's what it was all for. And of course, down in the southern part of Washington County, you have all of that high commercial area, just they have a lot. And Stillwater is growing constantly, so it's continuing to fuel that ready supply of money, much bigger than we are. And so here we are paying third highest in the MRAP organization for a focus that doesn't really affect us that much.
Sure.
And it just didn't make sense monetarily for us to continue to fund that. Now, if we could break that apart, you said there's ideas, right? They're going to listen to ideas. I've always looked at MRAP as sort of a collection, like a ad agency, you know, or a PR agency. You've got this talent that you can tap into when you need it. And some of the things are generic, you know, certain things about water and all of that are very generic. But when you want something more focused for yours, then you have this talented group of people that you can say, hey, we need something for X. And it's not just, you know, they would work in tandem, of course, with Adam.
Sure.
But they have the graphic background, they have the professional writing background. And so that would be of use to us, but not for $26,000 either.
Right.
You know, so, and this
But
is the
that's
other, this is the other thing though, is that these big cities that are down in southern Washington County, with their big, you know, stores, they pay $1,000 a year. And they're getting more benefit out of the focus on MS4 than we do.
Sure.
So we shouldn't be funding, you know, those big stores. And I don't know why they don't raise it. I mean, they seem fearful about asking for more money, but they're okay taking this tiny little district and saying, okay, well, you pay another $10,000 a year. And that'll make us really happy. Not how it works.
Right. My understanding was that we offered 8,000
Well, not to my knowledge.
at one point. No?
We thought about it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you wait a few minutes, you're gonna see when Adam shows his presentation, what we get for that extra money.
Sure. You know, our biggest concern or Mike's concern was the most recent training that they did in Scandia and didn't invite us to and didn't tell us about it. And it's just not even being polite at that point. Close by, we got people who do work in the area, could have attended that. Were we able to share the message? So right now, we have zero communication with them basically, and what's it worth to open the line of communication? And is it worth anything? I mean, if it's worth a couple thousand, let's talk about it. If it's not, then let's not talk about it. I'm fine with that. That's the open question. We don't have to solve it tonight.
No, we don't, but I'm glad you brought it up because it is, if we had that situation happen, kind of the surprise, you know, drop of their shoreline award program. And our staff didn't know about it until 2 or 3 days before. I didn't know about it until the night of the event. And we were putting out the prizes, you know, the awards. And here's this thing that didn't look anything like it was part of ours on that table. I think I asked you, Adam, I think you were there. And I asked, what's this? So I found out about it from Adam the night of. And I brought it up at the Lower St. Croix policy committee last month, that I didn't think this was fair. Fran has been to our to our State of the Watershed every year. It's our way to connect with the public, and the statute says that it should be by newsletter. Well, nobody uses that anymore. So that was a way to face with the public, and it's been successful. People enjoy it, and people that win the awards enjoy those. I think there was some confusion about the fact that we didn't have a shoreline award, but actually our award is universal. So it can be about anything that makes the citizen a champion of the watershed. And so it's very broad. It can be about shorelines or, whatever. So I think that's clarified, but again, it was inappropriate not to contact me as the president or one of the board members, to talk about this is going to be at your celebration. But none of that happened. So there's no courtesy then shown our way either. I think that's important for Fran to understand, and that's what I clarified at the Lower St. Croix meeting. Everybody agreed, no, you've got to be transparent about what you're doing and don't compete with a member, or partner, from that group. And so I think that's going to settle down on its own, but to not have thought about it earlier, I think shows sort of a lack of understanding.
It sounded to me like Fran was open to having a conversation there on
Yeah.
on our behalf.
Yeah.
As an advocate.
Good, okay, good.
President Anderson? President Anderson?
Yes, go ahead.
To Manager Schottmiller's point, I don't think we should have to pay for communications. I think that's something they should naturally have done. But I think since we made the decision to not support, the landscape has shifted significantly. Now, Adam has done an incredible job of getting our name out there and supporting education to our constituency, which we were not getting before with MREP. Also, Angie, I love the work that Angie does. And I'm seeing posts from her probably every 2 or 3 days, and they're really fascinating stuff, but I can't tell if she's working as an influencer on her own behalf or if she's working for another agency or organization, which kind of puzzles me a little bit. I've spoken with her, not about that, but just to let her know I really enjoy the material she puts up. And she spreads it all over the Twin Cities for causes for nature. And so this is kind of an open argument here. I think we're getting more out of our bang with Adam's work than we were with MREP. At the same time, Angie's work has really started to explode, but I'm not sure if it's for MREP. So there's a shift in the current here. I'm not sure what it is. I'll look into that. I was trying to find it real quickly and I can't find them popping up now, but boy, they're out there a couple a week.
Nice. Okay, Adam?
So Manager Schottmiller, if I may, so a couple things you brought up that I thought we should touch on a little bit. Like, we've had this discussion many times. To start with our events, we share a lot of other folks' events. If Extension or the county or the Soil and Water is having an event, we still promote that and share it. Who cares who's doing the work? It still applies to our folks as well as outside the boundary a little bit.
Agreed.
Lower St. Croix shares our events as well, and then the other cities pick them up and that kind of stuff. Conservation District sharing our events, even though we're still part of Washington County, happens but not a ton. I'll say it that way. The second thing is our classes that we offer, about 40% of those people that are attending are not from our district. We're not asking, the majority are, but about 40% aren't. And we're not asking those other folks to contribute to our events or costs, that kind of stuff. And let's face it, our budget's a little tight, for sure. Education budget, $5,000 coming out of there would be tricky, I think. Like, I think that money can be spent a lot better internally.
We did talk about in-kind, allowing Adam to be available to assist with things. That could be an in-kind contribution. And Mike thought that was interesting, and would be open to that. And since we already do it.
If he has the time.
But I mean, we're already doing
it. We basically, by all those people, the 40% that come to our, we're not charging them, that's our gift. That's worth at least 20,000 to them. How many, but you don't have them sign up though for their front.
So in the evaluation we hand out, they indicate yes or no, whether they're in the watershed,
Okay,
and then we
have
actually.
a statistical, so you could send that out, or that's what I was gonna suggest. So our contribution is in-kind contribution.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And that's a very big contribution, as you'll see, with all the seminars that they put on. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but
So that's where I struggle a little bit, like, we're not asking them, and they have a lot of folks that are participating, but they're asking us. Gets a little out of balance in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly, one-sided, isn't it? Yes, absolutely. Well, let's have this discussion maybe at a special meeting or something, one of the budget meetings maybe. And have it in there, and then we can have a more thorough discussion and come to a conclusion on what we want to do, but we will not, I hope, I won't approve of taking money out of Adam's budget. If anything, if it's gonna be tracked there, then it has to be additional to this
Sure.
budget.
And I think I think initially it should be also known that it's a 3-year contract
Mhm.
that they were proposing, so it's 25 grand a year for 3 years or 26,000, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
That was the ask.
that's correct. It is multi-year. Yeah,
Yeah, we could discuss that at a separate meeting, but I think sending back a reply and saying, here's our in-kind contribution, and then show how many people have come. And then ask them to show us how many of our people attend their events,
yeah.
and see what they come back
Well,
with.
and that's one idea. So everybody has to vote on that. So, again, Manager Baki will be back on the next meeting. It is budget related, so we can have it at that meeting.
I would also suggest maybe we, instead of just inside the district, outside the district, figure out what district they're in. And we,
If I
Yeah.
may, we do ask for their address. It's up to them whether they provide it or
Okay.
not.
Mhm.
Yeah,
okay, great.
yeah.
Good discussion. Thank you. Thank you. And the rest of the meeting went well? It wasn't
Yeah,
just
it was-
about MRAP?
No, it wasn't just about MREP, but it was about cooperation
Good,
and communication, so.
good. Thank you. Next item is old business, natural shoreline education and outreach campaigns.
Madam President, I can take this one. So board managers, you got an update from me about a month or so ago, about the Natural Shoreline Education Outreach Campaign that we have been working with Moore. And Moore is here, Lauren and Jeff are, to kind of give the final report and the wrap-up presentation. So
Great.
turn it over to them.
Welcome, Moore.
Thank you.
Go
Good
ahead.
evening, President Anderson and members of the board. Thank you for having us tonight. My name's Jeff Madejek. I'm a project manager with Moore Engineering. I'm in our visiting our Colorado office this week, and something in the air here is different than in Minnesota. So the allergies have gotten to me, so I don't sound the best. But luckily for you, Lauren is really the soul of this project, and she is doing most of the presentation. So you'll be hearing from her. Lauren Weller is the other main member of the team. She led this overall program for you. She's our community engagement manager at Moore and has done a really nice job with a lot of our programs similar to this one. So I'll just kind of introduce the project a little bit in the first couple slides. Lauren will go, she has about another 10 or 15 minutes of slides and then be available for some questions for you guys for discussion. I believe you've also already received sort of a summary report. So yeah, we can go to the next slide. So this project started about a year ago in June of 2025, and working with the staff, Adam and Aiden and the team, you know, the goals of the purpose of the project are listed here for you, but to increase awareness of the natural shoreline restoration around the district, to make restoration feel like a manageable and an achievable task, to encourage homeowner participation in shoreline programs that are already set up or that are available, but also to create long-term outreach tools and messaging that could be repurposed and continue to be reused by the watershed going forward. The program overall was divided up into 3 phases. The initial phase started with the planning and the gathering of data and evaluation last summer, which was and the development of some print materials, which took us into the fall phase where we sent out some of those outreach materials at meetings or through mailers, which set up some home visits by Aiden and some of the other members to meet with actual shoreline resident homeowners to go and see their specific homes and their sites. And there was also an effort to update the webpage about the shoreline program during this initial phase. Also during phase 1, we started to collect some video B-roll footage, and then that rolled us into phase 2, which was over the winter, and it was a video campaign we were doing videos kind of like every other week, and there was a couple of different changes in the frequency, but Lauren will go over some of the videos and how they were all released. And then as the winter ended into the spring, we kind of had a follow-up, re-releasing some of the videos, bringing out some other information related to soil testing or some other things to try to, those people that had been contacted in the fall for the site visits that were maybe marginally interested in moving forward with the project, we wanted to reconnect with a bunch of them and try to turn them over into, fully interested in considering projects going forward. And then phase 3 also included the project summary reporting, which has been provided to Adam and the district. So Lauren's going to kind of go over all of the more of the specifics and the things that have been summarized and done in the project, and then we can answer questions at the end.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Can everyone hear me okay? New headset,
Yes.
Great, thank you. And thank you to the board for having us this evening. But as Jeff mentioned, I'll walk through the rest of the campaign and want to kick off with the beginning of our behavior change strategy here. So one of the major takeaways from our early research for this project was that the information alone won't lead to behavior change. So because of that, we wanted to develop messaging that really intentionally focused less on any technical or only focused on environmental explanations and more on that the personal values or relatable benefits to the property owners, specifically on Forest Lake. We also knew that peer influence and local identity would be really important in this campaign, as homeowners are often most interested in hearing or seeing their neighbors or just seeing examples that are within their own neighborhood context. So throughout the campaign, we really tried to emphasize small and approachable action for natural shoreline restoration rather than presenting something at a large scale. And we also really wanted to be intentional about the photos that we were sharing, especially in the early phase 1. We made sure that our videographer was collecting local photos and videos that were on Forest Lake. So with that, the campaign tagline that we developed was small changes, deep roots, a stronger Forest Lake. And then later we made a slight shift in the campaign to broaden our audience to small changes, deep roots, a stronger shoreline. And we really wanted our messaging to be consistent. So we used similar themes and visuals and language and carried that across our postcards and videos and web pages, as well as our home visit materials. That way homeowners would start to encounter sort of a familiar message, but also familiar visuals. Phase 1, we really focused on that direct homeowner outreach. So the team identified 104 shoreline properties on Forest Lake, and that was based on several factors, including properties with shoreline setbacks of at least 80 feet and homes purchased in the last 10 years. We felt that would accommodate a large enough area that people would be more willing or just have more space to implement a natural shoreline. And they're also newer homeowners and likely more open to changing their properties. Of those 104 properties, we distributed a postcard, and then 91 homes were visited in person, which resulted in about 30 direct homeowner conversations. One of the more useful tools that we developed as we were preparing for those conversations was this introduction of some simple pocket garden concepts. We provided 3 different garden planting examples with some standardized planting options. And the goal here was to help residents better visualize what a smaller scale restoration project might look like, and also guide them to some different planting options so they knew that those were available. So this front page here talks about our 3 different pocket garden options that we were offering. And on the back of that handout, you'll see this list here with check marks and different boxes. Those are different plantings that we identified together to sort of create a diverse natural shoreline. Our outreach conversations also provided some valuable insight into the homeowner perspectives. So there were some concerns that emerged around maintenance, appearance. People were concerned that natural shoreline restoration might also interfere with their lake view. And then they wanted to be sure to maintain that easy access to their lakes. So a number of residents expressed interest, but also indicated they needed some more time before making a decision. And we think that that could be tied to the timing of the home visits. But among the homeowners who were directly contacted, there was a small portion who were immediately ready to move forward and worked with Aiden after that. And then some did fall into a category that they were resistant. And others curious but not yet ready. This helped reinforce that shoreline outreach and shoreline restoration is certainly a long-term and relationship building process. It's not a single interaction that will change behavior, but it is a longer-term process to lead to that participation. The second phase shifted toward digital outreach. This is when we got into the winter season. So our videographer was able to go out in the fall and collect video that we were then able to edit into 10 short form videos, a series of videos that we released between January and May. And the videos really focus on those relatable homeowner benefits that we identified. One of them also being erosion protection. We knew that ice heaves were a topic that your community was particularly interested in. So we wanted to make sure that that was part of our messaging. We also used a bit of adaptive management, which I'll talk about here in a minute, but the phases really helped extend outreach beyond that the 104 homeowners that were originally contacted. And this is when we shifted our campaign messaging a little bit to broaden that messaging and to reach a bigger audience. So overall, the video campaign performed steadily, and it did exceed the goals that we had set prior to creating the video campaign. All of the videos exceeded the 100 view benchmark and several exceeded 300 views. Throughout the process, we also observed that the videos featuring people and faces performed better than content that was only showing natural shorelines. And while the view counts alone do not necessarily indicate behavior change, of course, the campaign certainly demonstrated that locally focused video campaign content can build awareness and help reach a broader audience. So I'll just show you quickly here. This was our first video that came out. It was a horizontal video. We used the teal branding colors. And a lot of shots of some natural shoreline projects in your area. From there, we posted several videos that were similar to this format at the posting time. We sort of had an engagement plateau, so we decided to shift course a little bit, and we ended up going with a vertical video, and we started playing around with other colors in your color palette and posting on Saturdays. So we saw a bump in engagement here. And then near the end of the campaign, we saw another plateau. So as I was looking through your social media analytics, I noticed that most of your posts with people and faces were performing really well. So we then decided to include some video of Aiden and call out his name to let people know, you know, he's a friendly face. And if you see him at a home visit in the future, this is who you're speaking with. So from that point on, we included video of people.
Lauren, before you leave that
Yes.
slide, wasn't also part of the shift from the horizontal to the vertical because you had some metrics that showed that a lot of people were accessing from their phones. And so it
Yes.
just fit better on their phones that way. You know, a lot of us
Mhm.
get emails or messages on our phones and we don't go back and check them on our computer. So some of the shift in the way the videos were presented or formatted was specifically to make sure that on social media, when people were scrolling through their phone and they clicked on the video, it was the best way to present it.
Yes. Thank you
Is
for
that
pointing that out.
90%? Is that 90% the way people get messaging now is by their phones rather than their laptops?
Yes, for most platforms, yes. It was surprising. It was split a little bit more evenly between desktop and mobile for your Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was also helpful to go with this vertical video because then we could post it on your story, you know. But
Yeah.
yes, thanks for pointing that out. Oops. I seem to have gotten stuck here with the videos. So sorry. I don't know why it's not. There we go. Okay. So during this time of the social media campaign, we also, of course, were tracking your website traffic, which also increased during the winter and spring phases of the campaign. And we did see those spikes in engagement on your webpage were often correlated with the release of the social media videos. In April, we did see the highest number of users and page views during that reporting period. And I guess I want to point out, of course, that the engagement rates were strong throughout the campaign, which is great because that suggests that people weren't just clicking on the link from the videos, but they were interacting with the page, you know, and spending more time than they had been previously on that page. So let's see. So from the campaign overall, it created several useful outreach assets that we'll see here. So the project, like I mentioned, we reached 91 Lakeshore homes through that direct mail outreach and home visits, and we supported 30 conversations with homeowners. The campaign did increase awareness through those videos, the messaging framework we created, the print materials, and the tracking system that the district can now build upon as you continue to do engagement. Another notable outcome was helping to create sort of a clear barrier pathway into shoreline restoration. So by creating different steps, once we've identified someone's interest and how to contact them next, that will help reduce that time for shoreline projects. Let's see. And I also wanted to say the most notable impact we believe was developing these reusable outreach tools that you can continue using throughout the camp, throughout time. They're evergreen materials, as well as that tracking system that you can continue to use and review and then implement a new campaign strategy. So some of the lessons that we learned, we did feel that the seasonal timing really mattered. So especially when homeowners, when we did the homeowner visits, we felt that shifting those visits to the spring or summer would be a time that people are more frequently thinking of changing their shoreline. So that is one thing that we would change next time. The team also found that fewer, more distinct videos might perform better than trying to cover so many topics. As I mentioned, we did create 10 different videos. They're short videos, but we felt potentially creating fewer but longer videos would also create an opportunity to pair that with longer form content like a blog post or something similar. The timing of the video and photo shoot could also be improved by doing that at the peak of blooming. So that would also improve our filming efficiency. Now that we have some different themes for this, if you were to do additional video or photo collection, there's just a new set of shot lists that you could collect. And then finally, through Adam's observations, we learned that some of the lower barrier entry points, like the free soil testing and the pollinator habitats or the loon habitat discussions that he's had, often helped start that conversation more effectively rather than immediately discussing restoration. So looking ahead, we believe that there are opportunities to continue building on this work, as I mentioned, and one recommendation would be continuing to use and adapt the materials that we created, pairing Adam's workshops, continuing to pair Adam's workshops and educational events with some clear follow-up pathways that will help residents understand the clear process to move toward action, and easy information to contact Aiden, and then continuing to highlight those local homeowner success stories. So as you are doing more shoreline restoration projects, we feel like it's important to either take photos and share that on your platforms, but also testimonials really resonate strongly. And then finally, continuing to track the outreach methods and understanding how your homeowners are learning about natural shoreline restoration, and then using that information to adapt your communication strategy. So thank you for the opportunity to present the work tonight, and we really appreciate your collaboration throughout the project. And with that, I'll open things up to any questions you have.
Anyone have questions? Okay, I have one, and that I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that really talked about what a good, healthy lake looks like, and I'm talking shoreline now, from the center of the lake, against the way that you see most of them. Most of them are urban design, you know, the high priority ones that you identified. So I'm wondering if you did anything to educate on that basis. You know, do you love your lake to death kind of a thing? I mean, that was one from 10, 15 years ago. And I thought that was really effective, but maybe it's, you know, done its time. I don't know, but it really shows people this is what you think a good lake shore looks like. But here's the damage that it causes. And this is one that keeps the natural look and the benefits that provides. Did you do anything similar to that?
I don't think that well, maybe go ahead, Lauren. I'm sorry.
No, that's great.
Or any other way. It doesn't have to be like that, but the difference between, you know, making an urban look to it and how damaging that can be to the lake versus keeping it natural and what benefit that provides. So if anything along that, it doesn't have to be, you know, the exact wording, but you get what I'm talking about.
Yes, I could certainly see how that would be effective. We ended up basing our campaign off of the white papers that were shared early on in the project that helped outline sort of the keeping up with the Joneses mentality would be an effective way to market the campaign. So, and that oftentimes with communities that are harder to reach, that emphasizing the environmental impact it can be less effective. But
Yeah, part of what I thought as well was, because you're right, President Anderson, but I do think for my projects that I've been involved with personally, we use that a little bit more, like say on channel restorations, because it's easier to see the failing, eroding banks or low quality vegetation. Part of what Lauren her research found was that we're fighting societal change, which takes a long time, and society thinks that a manicured lawn looks nice, right? So if we show a picture of a manicured lawn and say your yard is the problem, have we already turned people off immediately, right? Because it doesn't look the same way an eroding stream channel might, or a green lake versus a clear lake. It's harder to make that argument. So I think we more focused on, your concerns about what the shoreline will look like. Here's what an aesthetically pleasing, naturally restored shoreline looks like. More to just focus that way. But, I could see your point of where there could be a place in a program to try to compare those things. But when it's people's personal backyards versus just a general comparison of one degraded environment versus one that's considered more improved, that's a little easier maybe to do.
Well, Jeff, I think you're right on, because I think you were around when Aiden launched this first year out. We had a lot of personal calls, and our approach was basically to point out how that was not a very good lawn, shoreline with grass all the way to the rock. In fact, what happened, we alienated people directly, a lot of them on the city council, because that's the kind of lawns they had. And they felt we had no right passing judgment on what their tastes were. So we switched away from that strategy, and this one I think is probably much more accommodating than the first one we used.
The message has to be gentle. You're not gonna hammer them over the head with it.
Yeah.
Well, we must have hammered them because they sure hammered back.
With the biggest hammer you could find. But there is a way, I think, to approach it.
Anyway, a very good program.
Education is such a part of this, is my point, and that they have to understand the damage that that type of shoreline has on a lake. And so you don't point it at one person or one section, but it's a general education outreach kind of a thing, to constantly be reminding them that there's a reason that we need to keep that shoreline natural. All right, well, very good. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have questions or comments that you'd like to make? Yes, Manager Taves, go ahead.
I realize how hard it is to get eyeballs, especially with all the stuff that's out there. I'm looking at the stats by the individual videos, and the report I'm looking at, that's like pages 63 through 70 something, where it talks the total, the web page traffic, the total users. Do you have an idea of what percentage of those are unique users and what is it as opposed to the total users?
I don't have that information available at the moment, but I can pull it up and share it with you.
Manager Taves, do you mean like the same person clicking on it 12 times versus 12 different people?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unique users as opposed to total users, yeah.
Yes, and you're asking for the website and the Facebook?
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, because if we have a lot of repeat users, we're not really getting new eyeballs. We're just kind of repeating the same ones or passing them on to other family members from the same IP. But it'd be kind of curious to know how many are unique users.
Yes, I might be able to pull that up quickly here.
The slide deck that was included in the report had the videos broken out by number and then the stats by each one. I found this stuff very interesting. I used to live in that world, so I know how hard it is to gain traction here.
It can be. Okay, I just pulled up your website stats from, this is specifically for the natural shoreline page. I'll just share this with you.
Yep.
And the time frame is from January to March 11th. I can change that.
Yep, that's the kind of graph I'm looking at, the top one.
So new visitors, it was about, this says it's exactly 50-50 split of new visitors versus returning
Okay,
for your webpage.
okay. Well, it's good to have people coming back.
Yes, yeah. And
Yeah,
I
especially
believe,
since, some of the initial postcard and visits that Aiden conducted showed that people were interested, but a little bit on the fence and needed more convincing. So at least if they're continuing to, view those media that were being posted. And then, Aiden did have some follow-up visits in the spring that I think were leading to some additional projects that are going to be implemented. So some of it is, it takes a little longer to keep them on the hook, so to speak, to eventually get them to cross over to the edge and want to implement something.
Yeah, if we can grow both sides of that equation, we've won.
mhm.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the question.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else from any board member? No? Well, thank you for the presentation. Did you want to say a few words?
She stole on my thunder for my next presentation, but
Oh.
there's a motion out there, or there's.
Okay. Well, that's true. We need to accept the report.
Yeah, just in closing, I guess Lauren and I would say that this is our firm's first project, I believe, with the watershed, and we enjoyed working with the staff and getting input from the managers along the way. And hopefully there'll be other opportunities for to partner with you guys in the future. But we thought the program was successful and appreciated the opportunity to work with the team. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Okay, I'll make the motion well, I can't read it that way. Manager Anderson moves to accept the Natural Shoreline Education and Outreach Campaign report. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? One last time? No? All right, roll call.
Manager Schrottmiller,
Aye.
Manager Takes,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Thank you. It's accepted unanimously. Thank you. All right, next item is Education and Outreach Program update.
President Anderson and managers, we're gonna go through the PowerPoint quick, kind of a mid-season update for the education outreach. Kind of highlight most of the the bigger chunks, website, events, that kind of stuff. So we'll go through it. Go ahead, Tori. So a reminder, kind of our guiding documents that we use for E&O. We have our big 10-year plan, which is general areas of focus, big picture. And then we break that down into 5-year comprehensive E&O plan. That's more strategies, focused down a little bit more. And then we have a yearly implementation plan that's very specific on the actions, the activities, and then we also track the metrics through that. So we will start with the website updates. And I tried to include last year's data on there as well. And you can see total users, 900, I don't know, it looks a little funny, but so 990 was our average. Engagement rate, we're above 50%, which is good. Above 60 is great. Having said that, our monthly average last year was still good, 900 some with an engagement rate of 55%. So we've certainly increased it. We're trending the right way. The topics and the pages that folks definitely are going to, the events and the news, the board materials, that's how most people get the board packet. And then contact and employment. We saw a little perk with employment now because we had the watercraft inspectors, we were hiring, that kind of stuff. And it's fascinating, like I get fascinated by analytics and how we can crunch the numbers. Our social, Facebook, the majority of folks that are going on there are on their phone versus the website. The majority of folks that are going to the website are on a desktop or laptop somehow, which to me is good. Like we're covering both markets pretty well that way. So yeah, so engagement rate's good. We're certainly ticking up a little bit. As you can see in March, we had a big jump.
I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so when we see a jump like that, at first we worry that there was some sort of interference or things like that. We have a great company that we work with. So we double back and look at those. The shoreline videos started coming out, the more popular ones coming out. And that's when we really did a lot of our community ed events. So a lot of our classes drive those numbers, and then it kept ticking up. Plus, like Lauren said a little bit, people are people want to garden, people want to get outside in the spring, the snow's melting, we want to do stuff, yeah.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Go ahead.
There we go.
So our social marketing, we use Constant Contact for that. We have 406 total contacts so far in 2026. That's up 85 from last year. Our email open rate is 50%, which is good. But at the same time, a lot of our things that we put out are one pager that people don't need to open it necessarily. A lot of our one page flyers you can see without clicking on it or going to it. So that number's, I think, quite a bit higher. And then we have 4 lists that we use: National Shoreline News, 77 contacts there, which is up 24, so 30% give or take. General news and events, that's our big one, 352, up 38. Board meeting materials, 160, up by 13. And then our Bone Lake South property, 13, that's all new since our event we did in March. So
as far as that click rate, instead of sending the whole picture, can you
we're gonna
squish it down and then say, hit this for, and then you've got your count?
And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tweak that
Okay.
a little bit, to give us more data or more specific.
Yeah,
data.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
So the Facebook updates and analytics, manager, Loth wasn't here. He was the one that was always pushing me on Facebook. We are certainly trending up. So averages 3,500 a month, contact interactions 58. That's clicks, likes, shares, things like that. From last year, we're up a lot, 2,320 contact interactions. Again, some of those contact interactions or content interactions, it's a one pager, so they don't have to open it necessarily to get info.
So you'll correct that too.
Yeah, we're gonna
Good.
try to break that down more and more. And we post something almost every day, weekends a little bit if I set stuff up to automatically post. But our Native Plant Tuesdays, by far one of the most viewed ones and the most shared. I see it on Extension, I see it on other lake associations sharing that. Wildlife Wednesdays is a big one, and then our videos as well. And we share a ton of other people's information. So soil and water, counties, Extension, any events, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So we post something pretty much every day. So community education. So I'm an events guy. I think, face-to-face interaction, we get. And the way I look at it is we're trying to, and Manager Taves mentioned it before, if we did a class or an event just on shoreline restoration, we wouldn't get that deep. We haven't had great logistics or great attendance from those. But if we do a native plans for wet areas, we get better attendance. And then we also talk about shoreline restoration and the activities and the programs that we have. So our 3 big partners, Sago Lakes Community Ed, Forest Lake Community Ed, and then Hardwood Creek Library. We don't charge anything for the community ed classes. Hardwood Creek does not, which Sago Lakes and Forest Lake, they charge $10-20 to pay for their venue, their advertisement, their catalogs, that kind of stuff. And the people get more than, in my opinion, more than $10 back. Everybody gets a folder full of good stuff, native plant book, and then usually I have native plant seeds or something that I give away as an incentive as well. And you can see the events that we had so far this year. And they're a wide topic, again, living fence lines. So we talk about pocket plantings, small native plantings, and you can expand that, go into shoreline, and guess what? We can help you pay for that. And Aiden will come do a site visit. And guess what? We also do soil testing. So get them there and then chat with them about the other stuff. And then we're doing a lot of family classes as well, like the bee houses and build your own fishing lures. Wildly popular. The kids have to bring an adult with them. It saves on staff quite a bit too, because 30 kids running around building lures is a lot sometimes. So we get an adult there. Plus, while the kids are doing that, we're chatting with them like, hey, guess this is a watershed. This is what else we do, and this is who we are, that kind of stuff. So, most of we don't run a class unless we have 8 people registered. I try to have at least 10 people registered, and you get no shows and that kind of stuff. But usually we're at 15-20 people for almost all of our community ed classes. So And then our bigger kind of community workshops that we did so far this year. I went and spoke to the Washington County Master Gardeners, who we are, what we do, what the watershed does, which they were delighted to, because I think they'd invited other watersheds and nobody had showed up maybe, I don't know. But that was a big one, 50 people attended, in January, so. And then our watershed connection, so our lecture series. We never canceled one this year, we had great turnouts at Loons, we had 50 people at. Then we have PFAS and we have the climate resilient trees to kind of go with our floodplain resiliency along with those lines. The Bone Lake South Info meeting, 60 some people were there, great event. And then our last watershed connection was the connection between zebra mussels and mercury and fish, which was an interesting one. But again, good attendance. And we've learned our lesson on these. We try to wrap them up before the end of April or May. People get busy, it's nice outside, they don't attend as much, so we try to do these ones in the winter, so. Staff also presented at all the Lake Association annual meetings. Kinney and Aiden were at Forest Lake, I think Matthew was there. Comfort Lakes was Matthew and Blaine and Aiden. I went to the Chisago Master Gardener Spring Garden event, presented there, and then the Bone Lake Association annual meeting too, so. People can get a hold of us. You want us to come speak at your event or do something with you, like, we're totally open to it, so.
That's wonderful.
And then kind of on the radar really quickly, so Forest Lake Art and Park, we have a booth there every Tuesday, June, July, and August. If any board meeting members want to come hang out, listen to good music and chat with folks, you can sit with staff there. Our bigger project site tours, so North Shore Trail, Nature Area Walk and Talk, which is June 9th. We have about 20 people signed up for that one so far. So Moody Lake Walk and Talk, the Moody Lake Round Barn, up in Manager Taves neck of the woods, so July 30th. We're doing pontoon tour this year on Comfort Lake, kind of go with the delisting and the activities up there. And then Bone Lake South Walk and Talk. The September 1st, we're gonna get folks out there, stroll around, see what's all going. Comfort Lake delisting, we talked about that at the last board meeting. June 17th is that event. We have 20 people signed up so far. We did a mailer last Thursday or Friday. Did you get it in the mail?
Yeah, I did.
So, that'll take a few days for folks to get signed up. I think the June 10th is the RSVP deadline for that one. And then our State of the Watershed event.
I forgot to update it.
It is, yeah. So we had 2 dates out there. I confirmed finally with the Legion. It is September 29th is the State of the Watershed this year.
Oh, sorry.
And then on the radar, so community ed catalogs come out pretty early. So a lot of the Forest Lake and the Chisago, I pretty much know what my fall schedule looks like now because they got to get those catalogs out. Hardwood, they fill them as we go along, but you can see the dates of upcoming events that we got going on. We have 13 community ed classes scheduled so far. I would venture to say by the time Labor Day rolls around, we'll have 20 some on the books. So, yeah. And then ongoing, the monthly Lake Association emails, those continue to be popular. We get lots of great feedback on those. We're working on the city staff, kind of similar to the Lake Association email to do to each one of the cities or with each one of the cities. Media articles, we put out something at least once a week. And it's up to, of course, it's up to the papers whether they pick it up and share it, but usually we have one a week in one of the papers or on their electronic versions. Neighborhood project meetings, we did a few of those last year. They were pretty popular. The Heath Avenue Iron Hand Sand Filter, we're doing a neighborhood meeting with that. And then we'll do a couple other ones as well. Kind of the walk and talk for North Shore Trail, that's kind of one. National Shoreline Education Outreach, you just heard the presentation. We use grant funds for that, so I got to finish up the grant reporting. But we learned a lot from that. We learned that there isn't any silver bullet, which I don't think we thought there was. But it reinforced our ideas. We have to keep doing everything that we've been doing. Events get a little higher. Folks that attend that, more site visits from that, but probably because they're interested, they're already somewhat intrigued, they're going to an event. But the website, social, mailers, all of them have a return on investment that's pretty good and pretty consistent. So outreach materials, we're always making new flyers and brochures. And then the website, Facebook, social marketing, we keep doing all of those. Because again, there's there's no silver bullet, we gotta keep doing what we're doing, so. And that's all I got, and there's, you know, if you come to Art in the Park, you can sit with me and hang out and chat with folks like that.
Great photo, who took that?
I was also there.
I'd like to say thanks to Adam for all the work he's doing. Just some really incredible programming. I wish I had the time to come to all of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Can you go back one slide? The media articles, I think, have just been superb. It's nice that you put that out there on a regular basis. It's not just one and you wait 3 months to see the next one. So I think that's helping, you know, drill into people's minds that there is a watershed here. The other thing you talked about is promoting all of the other entities that are doing something for water, right? And I think that's just such a great thing to do. I don't know, do you do it in the column format that we saw maybe 2 slides before this? Where you do it that way, or do you do it calendar? Like
So
calendar?
so all of the above.
Okay,
So we'll
okay.
share with some of the newspapers events coming up.
Yeah.
We also share on the Facebook
Yeah.
website, that kind of stuff, yeah.
Good.
Sometimes it's reposting their flyer or
Yeah.
their event notification, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the one before this, I think, had that column one that you do. It's so important. There's so much to absorb when you read a local newspaper about these events. And to have that, you know, available to us on a monthly basis, quarterly, whatever it is really gonna be helpful.
And it's, yeah, it's like, one of the newspapers will put out Hardwoods events
Mhm.
in a column like that, so you can easily see them and who's doing them,
Right.
and yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Wonderful. Nice job all around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nobody's gonna clap with me. Thank you. All right, next is Starry Stormworks. Rapid response, I guess that's you, huh?
I'll take that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President and managers. The purpose of this memo is to provide additional information regarding questions from the April 28th District Board meeting related to Starry Stonework, early detection and rapid response. Just a quick review overview from the previous discussion. The aquatic invasive species Starry Stonework is a green macroalgae in the harm lakes by forming dense mats at the water surface, restricting recreation and reducing diversity of native plants and animals. Starry stonework can require multiple treatments throughout the months of July through September to effectively manage heavy growth, resulting in higher frequency of surveys and treatments being required. Both Blue Water Science and PLM provide estimate quotes that reflect 2026 pricing. Go down. I guess you have a table.
No, I don't.
All right, got it. Overall costs would vary greatly depending on the average depth of the treatment area and the frequency of treatments required. So there's a table provided. There's 2 options that are worth pointing out. The low cost.
They haven't seen the tape.
Oh,
They haven't seen the memo.
oh, in that case, yeah, there's a low cost option that's using a copper sulfate and hydrotho liquid blend. It's used on Medicine Lake, which is the one that's closest to us. It's like 40 or 50 minutes away, depending on what lake you're on. And
Oh, they have seen the memo. I'm so sorry. I thought this was the next item.
oh, all right.
My bad.
Yep, and this copper sulfate, it shows good results on containing the growth of starry stonework if we catch it early enough before it starts developing the bobbles. There's another more expensive option. It's the Comian Descend, and PLM had noted that it's better in slightly deeper systems. And it's being tested out more widely. It first came around in 2023, so they're still waiting to see what the long-term results are gonna be on that, so. And yeah, then we provided that table with both those herbicides. The surveys themselves are kind of a fixed cost, but the herbicide, there's a wide range depending on if you're in 4 feet of water, which is the average depth for both Bone and Comfort Lake, and then 9 feet of typically the average treatment depth on Forest Lake, so.
And what was the cost?
For the copper sulfate, The annual cost for 4 feet would be about $2,890. And this is for just a hypothetical 10 acres.
Yeah, okay.
And then for the 9 foot, it would be $6,510. So that's the more affordable version than Comian descent, which is better at deeper depths,
Mhm.
or that's what they're observing so far. For 4 foot average depth, that would be $10,530. And for 9 foot average depth, up to $24,300. So
Okay.
quite a range.
Yeah. All right, very good. Any questions, comments?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your information.
Here, Emily was
Hopefully we
kind
don't
enough
have to
to
use
put
it.
this up for us.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah. And, good to know this and hopefully we just don't have to use it ever.
yeah, but if we do, it depends on the lake and where it's at, right? And you don't do full treatments, you just do the treatment where you see it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we were able, there's another table, that top one is the kind of rapid response, so
Mhm.
those would be at a shallower depth, so 2.5 feet, kind of like an average, we figured. Obviously, actually, probably lower than 1 acre, but. So it wouldn't be as much if like we were able to catch it early
Mhm.
and throw up like similar to zebra mussels.
Yeah, but how far is Medicine Lake from here?
50 minutes,
Okay, so an hour?
yeah,
Okay.
so it is in the time frame where even the bottles,
Mhm.
and can be
Yeah.
viable.
And all of our people hiring for the boat launch and boat checks have been educated on how to.
Yep, and this, in the past, we've done it and we're gonna continue using
Okay.
the throw rakes.
Okay.
So when I do weekly check-ins, we can
Mhm.
work with the inspectors to look at what they find.
Okay, and they have the power to stop them from coming into the lake?
If there's any vegetation, mud, water on the boat, yes, they have the authority.
Okay,
It's a delegated authority from the DNR.
okay, good. All right, very good, thank you. Moving on, we have floodplain resilience action plan framework.
Madam President, managers, the board held a special board meeting and a workshop just this Tuesday, May 26th, and discussed this topic in depth. And unless there's any further discussion or questions, we would recommend that the board accept the action plan framework. And then we are planning to work with EOR and bring to our next meeting a scope of work for the grant funded project feasibility phase, which would come after this.
Madam President, Emily, do you also want to give an update about the city's response? Luke's response?
Yes, the red lines that we had presented on Tuesday, the city confirmed that they are good with those red lines and they have no further comments. So I think we've gotten to a really good place, and nothing unexpected occurred since Tuesday's workshop.
Wonderful, that is good news, thank you. Any other questions or comments about this item, or are we ready to make the motion?
I have a question, just
Yes, yes, please.
confirmation that the framework, we approved the framework, it is the framework, we're not approving projects. No,
That's correct.
right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
we have to know where to go.
Yep.
Before we do projects, okay. All right, silence means I will make the motion to accept the floodplain resilience action plan framework dated May 13th, 2026. Is there a second?
I will
I
second.
will second.
Or
Give it to him?
Use the
Okay,
echo.
all right,
Echo.
you get this one. Manager Taves, thank you. All right,
Manager Schottenmiller,
aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
aye, unanimous, thank you. And thank you for the hard work on this very long journey that we've been on here. It's gonna be great. When we implement, so thank you.
Not yet.
All right, next is, and staff, that wasn't just directed at Ann, I just want to clarify. The next item is, the wake boat issue. Manager Schmaltz?
Right, I think NREP is holding a conference, is it June 3rd?
Well, next week I have.
Yeah, I think it's a Wednesday. So it's a wakeboat seminar. They're gonna be having University of Minnesota speakers coming in that. So, we got I know the Lake Association's got 2 people going there and they're gonna kind of champion that project until we get it under control. But one of the things I wanted to bring up here is it's gonna be very helpful if we can maybe track how many wake boats are coming into the lake through the survey that you're doing. Then we'd have, if we're gonna tackle this thing, we've gotta have some data.
Oh, yeah.
The first place to start would be the tracking by adding another question, and noting how many wake boats are coming in. Or you'll be at the meeting, maybe anything over 150 horsepower. They'll probably give you a number on that, but I know there's horsepower and there's a wake boat, both concerns. So we can figure out how many people are actually coming in, that'll help us identify what kind of issue we have. Plus, we want to do a lake survey of all the boats on the lake too. So we can find out how many people have wake boats. Not too many, I don't think, at this point in time. Yeah, so I wanted to bring it up to the board if there's any objection. Can we still do this, Matt, do you think, or?
We use the DNR, their survey application, so it's statewide, everyone uses it, so they can't amend it, but there already is a question that asks what kind of boat it is.
Okay.
So, wake boats is one of the options. The other common ones are fishing boat and runabouts.
Okay.
So, it does not specify horsepower, so if that was something.
Maybe we could have a tag on question that they can separately on the bottom of their sheets when they turn it in or something like that. But
Yeah.
You're not gonna have a lot of 150 horsepower coming in, I don't think. But you never know.
I know,
The motors are getting bigger and bigger on the lake since I've been here.
Yeah.
They really fly by.
I thought the wake boat, the first study was done for boats at 250 or more. Is that?
Maybe you can ask that question, too.
Yeah.
U of M people will be there. And
Yeah.
they can give you an idea of what we should be looking at.
Do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So if no objection, we can go ahead and do that then. If we can work it in.
Okay, if there's any, no
That's it.
objection. Yeah, good, thank you. All right, next, reporter staff administrator.
We're going to actually start with Kennedy.
That's right.
Kennedy, go ahead and, there we go. This is Kennedy.
It's a very flattering photo of me. Well, I'm Kennedy Kolb. I'm the Seasonal Conservation Corps member. So it's a program that's very similar to AmeriCorps. I'm placed into a specific like local government unit or any sort of organization to both like expand to their capacity and also gain some experience in training. So I have been doing a lot of work with the water quality monitoring program, and I've been helping Matthew out on some aquatic invasive species stuff. What other information should I include?
No, that's great.
Welcome. I think you were at maybe a PAC meeting.
I was at a
Okay,
PAC
so
meeting.
I heard the introduction once before, so that was it. Okay, well, welcome aboard officially at our meeting. For all of the board, we're glad to have you and staff will keep you occupied, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Good, thank you. All right, next, did you have something else?
Well, I have the whole administrator's report presentation embedded into the slide, but it was also posted on the website, so we can go through it slide by slide or. Oh, awesome. I didn't see that. Yep. Awesome. Go ahead, Emily.
Sure, yeah, President Anderson, managers, I know we're kind of getting close to 8:30 here, but we've started doing this, embedding the pictures and things like that to accompany the administrator's report. So we can just run through those really quick. So this first picture, props to Tori for taking that out, collecting monitoring data on Moody Lake. Thank you. And then here is just links to plans. You know, we do a lot of reporting on activities that staff is doing, and you know, a lot of our work, similar to what Adam mentioned earlier in his presentation, is already planned out and has a framework identified in an annual plan. So just some links to some of those here. For board administration, save the date for the MAUD or Minnesota Watershed Summer Tour, August 25th through 26th. That'll be in Detroit Lakes. And so that'll be coming up, and we can kind of discuss that at a future board meeting if managers want to attend, but just save the date for now. Yep, we submitted the audit, held a special meeting. We can keep it going. Here's just an overview of permitting activity that took place just in the time that we prepared this report. So between April 11th and May 19th, lots of inspections occurring, still a pretty high compliance rate, which we like to see. I think it really shows that those site inspections and the interaction between staff and the permittee really does help. We're out there helping them get their silt fences in line and everything like that. So good to see that. Held some partner workshops. We're undergoing this rule revision process. And so it's kind of this longer process, and it takes a lot of, feedback from partners. So permitting staff has been doing a really good job of starting that engagement, and, updates will be coming to future board meetings on that. Monitoring, and look at that moving picture for everyone. That's really great. Tori does a good job taking photos and videos when staff is out. So lots of lake monitoring was conducted. We had a bit of a malfunction with the Forest Lake level logger, and so that's been offline. And so we have put in an order to replace the equipment. With anything like this, we really need to make sure it's within the budget. And so this is just one of the many things that we are tracking really closely to make sure that we can continue operations and continue these services while staying within budget. So those are some considerations that we have going on. So that should be back online soon. We've ordered the part. For non-point source pollution abatement, aka the cost share program, staff are out there doing site visits, processing applications, getting more and more attention in that program. So that's great to see. And then had a drone spraying demonstration scheduled for late June. More info on that in the administrator's report. If you didn't get enough education and outreach, there's more info in the admin report. Lots of events that happened recently and more still coming up. Yeah, we can keep going through those, I think. Here's just a rundown of recent Lower St. Croix Watershed Partnership meetings. The next policy committee meeting will be Monday, July 29th. And that's when we will give an update on the performance review and assistance program, which the Lower St. Croix Watershed Partnership is going through. And then if you go to the next slide, there's a lot of, actually, I forgot that that's before the PREP. Sorry, we go back. I'll finish up Lower St. Croix. But at the next policy committee meeting, there will be an update on that performance review assistance program PREP process. And I'll leave it there. So the next slide was the public waters inventory. So the counties, this is a statewide effort by the DNR. The counties are assessed in alphabetical order. So Chisago County is coming up kind of early in the process. We're expecting Washington County to be kind of later in the process. The comment period is live right now, and it goes until July 17th. And there's a public meeting on June 2nd at the Chisago County Government Center. I've tried to blow up here the proposed map. There's no changes to the public waters within our boundaries. And we think that makes sense. We wouldn't recommend any changes. So we'll see if anything comes out of the public comments, and we're in coordination with DNR on that. But no major changes expected out of this. So the district will participate in the Sustainable Communities Partnership through St. Thomas University, engage students in experiential learning and creative problem solving. So just always looking for ways to partner with local universities and to kind of help push forward research where we can. So looking forward to that. At April 30th, so back last month, we concluded our year in review, annual report and progress report for 2025, submitted that to the state as required by April 30th. And then also that was useful information to provide to Bowser, because in addition to the Lower St. Croix undergoing a PRAP, so is Comfort Lake Forest Lake and several other individual organizations around the area. And so we had talked about that a while ago. It's kind of been on hold because Bowser, they've only got one PRAP coordinator right now. They're trying to hire another. And he's got all the information he needs from us now. And so he's working on that final report. And we're going to try to find a date for him to come and present that final report. I don't expect anything major. I don't expect any issues out of it. I think it'll be a really good presentation for them to talk about how much progress we've been making on our 10-year plan. So TBD when that'll occur, but I think it'll be a good presentation when it does.
Okay, thank you. Is there more?
Yep, there's more. Sorry, just taking a breath. We've been submitting a lot of grant applications. We've got that whole grant summary table in the admin report for you with a bunch of details. Just a couple highlights here. We did apply to be a Green Corps host site, which would have gone through this September into next August. We were not chosen. They received almost twice as many applicants as they have available spots. And we had already been a participant 2 times before. And I know they try to look for new host sites. So we can still apply again next year. We've had such a great experience with Green Corps. And obviously, that's different from Conservation Corps, but, similar in a way. And we've been really happy to have Kennedy through the Conservation Corps on board. And then the clean sweep free testing was just keeping our eye out for other grant programs. It's not like a big revenue source, but this would provide free testing for cities to quantify sweeping results. So we worked with the city of Forest Lake and Wyoming, who have street sweeping programs, to apply for that. So TBD on that. I think just a few more slides here. Always inspections and maintenance going on through the O&M program. That County Road 50 Iron and Hand Sand Filter project does require a lot of work to keep it working really well. And so staff are out there raking and doing what we need to do to make sure that project keeps having that capacity. AIS, this time of year, there's lots of delineation surveys occurring, looking at planning some treatments, and sometimes no treatment is recommended. We go with Blue Water Sciences recommendation oftentimes on those. So a couple maps there. And then watercraft inspection program has started up, and we're getting good coverage on the weekends and coverage during holidays. We just had Memorial Day kind of kicking off the summer. So that program is ongoing. We've also had a purple loosestrife beetle collection event just recently, and staff, collected a bunch of those beetles, and that'll be a nice way to do bio control of purple loosestrife. And then also working with volunteers to distribute zebra mussel sampler plates, just to keep an eye on the populations of zebra mussels in the lakes that have those. Couple of plans that we've been talking about. We'll have updates on both of these at the next board meeting, floodplain and watershed management plan. And then projects, we are evaluating bids for the Heath Iron and Hand Sand Filter project, hopefully able to bring an update to that at the next meeting, and hopefully a contract award. We kind of talked about this might be under budget, but there's still some kind of legal things to work through, and then bring that contract award recommendation to the board. So more to come soon. And then same on the Bone Lake South nature area. I will say we just recently got the approval, our two Lessard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Fund grants. They have been approved by the legislature. And so that bill is just waiting the governor's signature. But the gears are in motion, and we are going to get those executed and hopefully be able to hit the ground running on both those projects July 1st. Those each, Bone Lake South and then Greenbelt, each has $1.4 million awarded. And that is it. That didn't go quite as fast as I thought it would, but there's a lot going on. So thank you all for sitting through that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that preview or review of the report. It's nice to see this kind of activity, you know. It's not that it's the first time, but there's a lot going on. All right, Anne? You're on.
Madam President, managers, Emily kind of stole my thunder on a couple of these things already, but in addition to things we already talked about, and I can reiterate, but one thing we haven't talked about yet today is that the East Comfort Pond feasibility study, we're finalizing the cost benefit analysis and concept design, and so that memo is coming for staff review.
Okay.
And then will be at a future meeting. We're also bringing the flood resiliency scope to the next meeting for your consideration. And we are gearing up to collect additional wetland cores and survey for the Sunrise River IEG
Wonderful.
project.
Nice to see that continuing. Good. All right, next is the report of the treasurer.
First.
Smith Partners, I'm sorry. Chuck,
I have
anything?
nothing to report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Treasurer?
Okay, so this month we had, rec expenses of $430,000, $306.06. And, that, we had income of $53,865. And most of that was, actually, there was no really large, was one grant, I guess, that came through from the Moody Capstone, the final great grant payment. Other than that, everything else looks okay. We need a bank transfer of $330,600. So I need a motion to accept the treasurer's report and to pay the bills for the current month.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to accept the treasurer's report, transfer funds in the amount of $330,600 and pay the bills in the amount of $430,306.06.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Manager Taves. Roll call.
All right, Manager Shopmiller,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Unanimous, we will pay the bills.
And I'd just like to have Emily show the cash flow statement.
Yes, please.
So, Emily, you ready? Okay, you got it up there, great.
Sure. Madam President, managers, again, briefly, we had been talking about this and the board wanted to see this cash flow projection. We needed to clarify some of the numbers with our accountants over at Redpath, so it was slightly delayed. But we have our estimates here now. And then so you see that top line, we've got the last 4 months of expenditures, and then the projected next 2 months. And our estimate for where that fund balance will be kind of at the end of June, right before we get our first half levy settlements the first week of July. So we think that we still will have some fund balance remaining. And, you know, there's some margin of error there if our estimates are off, but we really don't expect any huge expenditures to be coming through. We've already paid our loan repayments that were due June 15th. So that's gone out. So yeah, that's our projection, and we'll just keep this updated moving forward, and we can talk more about this during the budget workshop as well.
Right, Emily, you want to mention about the status of the loan?
Yes.
That you've applied for that and how much and so forth? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the board budgeted $234,000 in loan revenue for the 2026 budget. And back in February, we applied for that loan. It's taken the MPCA a little bit longer than expected to review it. They had some questions and they had some edits to the work plan and things like that. So there's been some back and forth, but we have received official approval for that loan. And as a reminder, we had applied for a $750,000 loan. And through that program, if we want to use less, if we only use the $234,000 that's budgeted, it's a simple process. We would just leave the remainder of the approved loan amount with MPCA. We wouldn't touch it at all, and we could close out the loan early. It's a reimbursement loan. We don't get it all up front. We get it as we report eligible expenditures. So it's easy to leave things, a dollar amount on the table if we don't need it. So I'm hoping to bring this. I'm working with our bond counsel at QTech Rock to get the legal documents. And so either the June 11th or June 25th board meeting will bring this forward for approval. And then we can still utilize this loan in the second half of the year because it is part of balancing the 2026 budget.
So we only pay interest on what we take out, correct? So if we have 234,000, that's all we have to cover then, basically interest wise.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope. No
You
questions.
can see it's a little tight, but you know, we should make it. And
I would have expected, I was afraid it was gonna be
I think
tight.
staff's been doing a good job and
Mhm.
like this accounts
Yeah.
for the accounting changes we're talking about.
Yeah.
All contribute, you know, we're not gonna save $50,000 here and
Mhm.
100,000 here. It's 4,000 here, it's, you know, 1,200 here.
Yeah.
It all adds up. So,
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
So the staff's doing a good job tracking this, and I think the biggest thing is to be aware, if we're gonna be under in a budget, we should know that. So we have extra money to move around if we have to, because we can't have a perfect budget, right? You're gonna have to move stuff around because of the variability.
Well, we can't have expenses like at the level that we had past month either.
Right.
That was high.
That's the loan,
I assume a lot of that was also from the grants, from the projects that are driven by grants. So, yeah, we have to be careful.
Okay,
Anyway, we already voted, right?
So report managers,
Pardon me?
you can move on to
Yeah.
report manager.
Yeah. Okay, report of managers? Managers homes?
I have an article here from Washington County. They're gonna float a $40 million bond issue
Mhm.
to buy more land. And so they hired a federal government to do a study of our area, Washington County. So we should have staff get a copy of that report to see if they picked out any properties in our watershed district. So I'll just leave this with Tori, if you could send it around to the management.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, and follow up on that report if you could, Emily, or staff. That's
Yes.
all I have.
All right, there. Manager, manager Jim. All right, there we go.
No, I don't have anything new to report other than I'm at meeting and we talked about it.
Thank you. Manager Taves?
Just anxiously watching what's going on in South Bone Lake property there. That's exciting stuff. That's it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You're very close to that too. Where are you in relationship to this, to Moody? Is it?
Just
Are you east?
just barely north of it.
Okay, all right, good. All right, I have something to update on the resolution for the Minnesota watershed. After I talked with Steve, as I talked to Mike and then later our attorney, Mr. Chuck there, we decided together that we're not going to do the presentation or the resolution that I had talked about earlier. And that Mike had a different concept, which was dealing with just the way we do things, especially in the beginning with the sequential diagnostic monitoring. I wanted to take a broader view, which to me, the 103D statute that drives the watersheds was in conflict with, or Bowser's treatment of only accepting and paying for things that are based on the SWCD computer systems that really is their preliminary for determining where projects should go. And the 103D language is very clear in saying that those preliminary expenses should be paid and they are part of the, there's a separate fund for them. And that they should be considered part of the implementation and construction phase. So it is necessary, according to that statute, that's the way things should work. Well, doesn't turn out to be that way when you talk to an attorney like Chuck, who knows all the other pieces of it, and one of them is under the administrative area. I think it's 114, I think. And it really is up to Bowser, when we're working with clean water funds, to determine how they're going to use it and what they're gonna pay for and what they're not gonna pay for. And what I was trying to get at, of course, is a much broader decision that Bowser wasn't following the law. And so it doesn't matter if it's the way we do things or the way someone else does things in that preliminary phase. It would cover all of that and not just, our issue. And so when we talked through that, there's an issue, or excuse me, there's a meeting coming up with the Clean Water Council in just a few weeks. I think it's the middle part of June. And we're going to go to that meeting, and we're going to bring a proposal for that, because you can ask for direct funding. We just found this out not too long ago, and you don't have to have it go through the agencies. And some of the, a few of the watersheds have done that, and they've been successful. So.
Okay, so
Mhm.
Chuck, I think we had two resolutions we were working on. The one that we're working on for the diagnostic monitoring, I think you and Mike have completed that one. Is that correct?
That's what we were discussing this afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, Chuck, is Chuck still here?
Yes, I am.
So I talked to Mike before he left, and he mentioned that you did complete the diagnostic monitoring resolution. Are we gonna go ahead with that as planned?
That's what I'm talking about. That we're not going to do that. We're gonna take a different, any way that we go, my way, the way that Mike laid it out. We're going to make people that we have to work with to get what we want upset. And we don't want to do that. And so we're going to sit down and we're going to come together with a executive summary, if you will, of how this program has worked for us. We're going to ask EOR to give their advice on what the outcomes would be if you did our projects a different way. And show them in writing the difference. And then one of the methods that we talked about doing is also going to the board of Bowser Board directly and explaining to them how beneficial this system is for all watersheds and how much quicker we can get to clean water everywhere if we followed this type of system.
Okay.
And that way, we're working with the people that need to make these decisions. That's not gonna happen. I don't think that the Minnesota watersheds people can represent this issue in the detail that's needed. And so we're basically putting together a executive style view of this program. So it's gonna be succinct. We're going to have some detail in there, some data that shows how much better this is than doing it the traditional way.
Okay, I think I understand.
Watersheds have done that.
I wasn't, in talking with Mike, though, I got the impression that we were gonna continue with the other one unless you've changed your mind in the last 3 hours. So Chuck, this has to be in on Monday, doesn't it? The resolutions?
That's correct.
And are we still aboard? We're not gonna send any resolutions in? Is that what the decision has been made since I talked to Mike about?
I talked to Mike and we had this clear understanding of how we were going to move forward, the better way to move forward.
When did you talk to him?
This afternoon, about 4 hours ago? Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Chuck, and Chuck had some little curveballs that he always finds, of course, is that this is what I was talking about with how, especially for clean water funds, Bowser is directed to do their own rules. And so we can't change that. And so
Right, Mike explained that to me, but he thought you were gonna still try to move ahead with that tonight, so.
No,
So you're okay then with not submitting that resolution that Mike had worked on?
Mike is okay with it.
Okay.
Mike is okay with it. I talked to Chuck about it.
When I talked to him, he wasn't okay with it.
I understand that, but I talked to him later.
Around the same time, around 4 o'clock.
Well,
So I
what
just
can
wanna make sure,
what
because
can
we
you-
don't get
maybe
it sent in, we
maybe it
lose
was
the year.
4:30. Maybe it was 4:30.
Yeah.
All right, it was in that time frame. But the three of us involved in it have come to the conclusion
Okay.
that I just talked about. Okay,
All right,
I'm not gonna make this decision on my own, you know? I had to work with the people that I've been working with for 2 years to try to figure out how we can get Bowser to pay for what the rules say in our chapter, our authorizing chapter of statutes. All
okay,
right? Okay. Good.
20 minutes makes a difference, I guess.
Well, being involved in it, I think is the big difference, is that we've been talking about these pathways. And mine was a broader approach, as I said. Mike's was very focused on this one type of thing that we're doing. What I wanted to do is have it be broader. They shouldn't be involved in any of this decision making. It should be up to the watersheds to make the decision and their engineers on what the best pathway is for getting the preliminary work done.
I agree with that decision, by the way, too,
Okay.
because I think trying to take money out of Bowser, when they give us so many grants, is just asking for trouble, so.
Well,
I'm glad
yeah.
you decided that.
Yeah, good, because you have
it
to
was-
make the issue, we're so immersed in it, we know it backwards, forwards, up and down,
Right.
but everybody else doesn't.
Right.
And we have to change the naming, I think, of diagnostic monitoring because they confuse it. Having sequential doesn't help. If we have to explain it in a different way so that everybody gets it. It's really.
All right, so we
it's
made a
really-
decision.
it's
I'm
really-
sorry to drag this out, but I just wanted to make sure we were making the decision that everybody agreed on, so that's fine.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
It's actually application of the Pareto rule. You
So
find a
I'll move
hotspot,
to adjourn if
and you
everybody's
just
interested in
go where
adjourning.
you're going. Well, I don't want anybody leaving here thinking that this was not a thought out, calculated change in direction. And you said that you get it, and that's good. All right, if anybody else has questions, call me, and we'll talk about it on the phone. All right, yes. The meeting is the.
Board direction.
Summary. Yes, thank you.
Madam
Chuck, you have
President,
anything? Yep,
um,
go.
managers. I have 5 items on my list for board direction. One is per President Anderson's request, staff will produce some sort of annual regulatory report with basic environmental performance metrics. And then further discussion of how to account for and present staff costs is going to be included on the June 2nd meeting agenda. I'm sorry. So third is that the board has asked that staff schedule a more thorough discussion of education and outreach and its relation to MREP, perhaps at a budget workshop. Then per Manager Schmaltz, staff will see if boat inspectors can gather additional information on wake boat use. And finally, per Manager Schmaltz, staff will follow up with Washington County regarding their interest in land acquisitions that may lie within the district.
Sounds complete to me.
Sounds
Anyone
good.
else? Okay, very good. Thank you, Chuck. Now, the matters before the board are concluded. It is time to leave. Who would like to make the motion to adjourn?
So
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, Manager Schottmiller,
Aye.
Manager Tate,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Most emphatically.
Your 8:30 streak is ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot.